And the conclusion for SmackDown, at least, for the 3-week European tour has officially ended. We got one more show, and that is Raw in London. But London in the O2 Arena, where we had a great show. But before we get into this video, drop a big thumbs up down below, hit the subscribe button, because I really appreciate it. Anyway, let's hop into today's video. So, London was great. We start off the show with Cody Rhodes, just like it was advertised on the WWE.com website. And basically, he was talking about John Cena and all that stuff. And I have voices in my head, they talk to me. You know, obviously all that stuff. And obviously they say Cody Rhodes and stuff like that. Then Randy Orton came out. They started singing his song. We all know the drill about that. Anyway, they started talking about how we have history, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about their long history. And then Randy said, you had the balls to leave this company and do your own thing, to build something outside of that company. That takes big balls to do, and not a lot of people could do it. And they said, Cody, blah, blah, blah. And then Drew McIntyre comes out, starts saying stuff, but Cody couldn't take it. Hits him in the gut, hits him with the uppercut, and then Randy goes for an RKO, but Drew McIntyre pushes him off, goes outside the ring, and it was official. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre later in the night, which Randy Orton ended up losing. Anyway, the Street Profits came out, and by the way, for a tag team title defense, I might be a little bit slow, but why did it take me this long to realize they have a new theme song? When did they get this new theme song? And whoever, Def Rebel, you're fired. What type of trashy music did I listen to here in London? It was garbage. It was garbage. Bring back their old theme song. Anyway, Pretty Deadly, the number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Champions, took on the Street Profits in a great match. And obviously Pretty Deadly doing their stuff, and so the Street Profits. This was a cool moment, and like a critical moment where Kit Wilson slid Elton Prince out of the way so he could take the frog splash instead, and then try to roll up. And then Elton Prince tried to roll up Montez Ford to get the pin, but it didn't work. But then Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford did double teams, but then they started fighting back, and then this crazy spear back elbow thing, and then they hit their tag team finisher thing. It almost was the end. I thought that Pretty Deadly was gonna win the championships. I'm not gonna lie right here, not gonna lie. And then sadly, eventually it happened. They hit the electric chair buster, blockbuster for the pin, and still your WWE Tag Team Champions, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, so WWE announced that they're now inducting matches into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the first match they're inducting is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. That's crazy. First off, have we seen that WrestleMania 13 logo? What is that? Like, why do they have to put fire around the 13? Never mind. Anyway, this was the forgettable match of KC2 and the Secret Service of Chelsea Green. By the way, I might do a video on Evolve. I'm just thinking about it so far, depending on what I'm doing. But anyway, this was pretty forgettable match. I'm pretty sure Secret Service of Chelsea Green won anyway. So yeah. Anyway, it was time for the United States Championship match. Braun Strowman ended up taking on LA Knight for the United States Championship. Obviously, didn't really get it. It wasn't a good match or anything like that because there was no winner. It ended up in DQ after some crazy spots and stuff in the Megastar elbow drop. But of course, Braun Strowman was about to attack LA Knight, but then of course Jacob Fatu out of nowhere hits him with a back elbow, spinning back elbow. Of course, LA Knight tried to fight out Jacob, but Jacob destroys him, puts the booty to Braun Strowman's face, and just does that a bunch of times and takes out them. And Jacob got in trouble by Solo Sikoa. But I don't think Solo really cared. No, not Solo. I don't think Jacob really cared. So, yeah. Don't think he cared. Anyway, Jackie Redmond interviewed Jimmy Uso, basically saying, I'm going to face Gunther because I slapped him across the face. And I'm going to help my brother Jay I'm going to help my brother Jay realize Gunther is not unbeatable, not unstoppable, and he can be beat. And then he got in the interaction with Miz, basically saying, you and your brother are tag team guys, and when you will finally realize it when you face Gunther next week, and Jay will finally realize it when he faced Gunther in WrestleMania. And he said that slap was nothing. Take it from a main eventer, a WWE champion, a guy who'll beat John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. And then he said, oh, really? You're not going to be scared of that slap, huh? And he did that and meant, please don't do it. And that was happened. It ended up being a match between them. Anyway, speaking of Solo Sikoa not being happy with Jacob, he said, Jake, what are you doing? You're going to hurt yourself. He said, I don't care, bruh. And Jacob said, I don't really care. And Thomas said, Jacob, he said, no, Thomas. Jacob that. No. I do what I want. Without you guys. Or with... Anyway, apparently Naomi's new gimmick is just wearing caution tape all the time. She basically said, I was there for you, Bianca. It was me and you. Before Jay David got here in WWE. But then, as soon as she comes walking in, you and her started tagging together and ruined all of our special moments. Caution tape. Why you... I don't... Whatever. Anyway, before it was supposed to be Michin versus Charlotte Flair, but then Naomi attacked Michin because she was talking to Jade Cargill. And anyway, then she attacked B-Fab. Naomi attacked B-Fab and her, but then Jade Cargill came running down there to help, but it didn't help out. When Jade Cargill was walking down B-Fab to the apron or the ring, Charlotte Flair's music hit and they stared down, which makes me think, if this will be a potential match sometime in the future, maybe it will be Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship. If she wins at Mania, we'll find out. But I think that's something cool to see, and I feel like that would be a great match. So WWE, run it. Anyway, it was Michin versus Charlotte Flair, and it was a pretty solid match. You know, Michin doing her moves, Charlotte doing her moves, and at least we actually getting some Charlotte Flair matches before. We thought there was many speculations that she actually wouldn't be wrestling until WrestleMania, so that's good to know. But she did her woo chops, and she took out the legs of Michin. And then put Michin in the figure 8 to put her out for good. But then Tiffany Stratton had a little promo saying, I have nothing to lose if I win the Mania. If I lose that Mania. Charlotte Flair just gets another world championship to her name. But if Charlotte loses, she loses to a copycat, moonsaulting Blondie at Mania. So yeah. She said that. Anyway, it was time for Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, which the match got cut up short because Kevin Owens came out and distracted Randy Orton and ended up losing the match to Drew McIntyre, but they ended up fighting, and Kevin Owens almost hit a package pile driver on Randy Orton on the table, but he reversed and sweeps his legs and stuff like that. But we got some big news. They showed a vignette again of this luchador, but we found out it was Rey Fenix, and he will be here next week in Chicago. So yeah, that is big W's. Big W's. I'm actually excited for what he does, and I'm kind of glad that he's not automatically teaming up with Penta, because I feel like Penta's doing his own stuff right now on Raw and doing his stuff in his mid-card division and going after the Intercontinental Championship. So I think keeping Rey Fenix away from Penta for now is a good thing, and he just does his own stuff on SmackDown, whether it's maybe a world title, maybe it's just mid-card, which I'm expecting it to be mid-card. But they did acknowledge that Rey Fenix and Penta were brothers and were part of a tag team, so that's good to know. Anyway, it was time for Jimmy and The Miz, and this was an okay match. Of course, Jimmy picks up the win. After, by the way, this was a great knee from The Miz. But of course, after a Uso splash, 1, 2, 3, Jimmy wins and it grabs. I don't even know. I don't even think this was anybody's microphone set. He just grabbed it and started talking and basically said, "I'm gonna see you next week, Gunther." And yeah, anyway, what's his name? Drew McIntyre was talking to a famous artist. I'm pretty sure he has Tourette's actually. So yeah, I think I've seen a video of him having one. Anyway, he tried to leave the building, and Damian Priest was standing here like this. So he just got boom, and they were just jumping at the attack. They were just jumping each other and basically beating each other up. But then they got to the car and they started slamming each other on the car. But then they ended up both on the lid of the car. Which, by the way, Drew, why are you getting on top of the lid? I don't even know. Which didn't really work out because he got south of heaven straight through the glass window. And he stood, and there's the aftermath. And he said, "Oh, by the way, you probably know what he's doing." He said, "Oh, there's glass in my eye. There's glass in my eye." Oh. So yeah, that's basically what he's doing. And then CM Punk came walking by and said, started laughing. Anyway, it was time for the CM Punk Roman Reigns contract signing and Seth Rollins. And the crowd was chanting, Roman Reigns. And even Paul Heyman was singing, bro. It was crazy. He said, I came here for 2 things. To get acknowledged, check, and to sign his contract. Now check, because he signed the contract. Anyway, Seth Rollins came out and basically said, we have a lot of history about here. 12 years ago, we landed a helicopter on this building and stuff and talked about their past and stuff and then signed the contract. And CM Punk came out, of course, and said, I came here for 2 things, chew bubblegum and sign the contract. But right away, CM Punk was looking through the papers and Roman Reigns, what are you doing? He said, this is TV. We hurry this up, Junior. And you got Seth here like, oh my God, bro, this is ridiculous. And he said, well, okay, how about this? Go to page 4, clause 5. And he said, Wiseman, sorry, I'm up. And then Wiseman, Paul Heyman said, hey, I know what you're looking for, and it's in there. You're gonna be main eventing WrestleMania, be closing the show. You're finally a WrestleMania main eventer. You got Roman Reigns in the corner. You're like, I've done that 11 times already. This is gonna be my 11th time. And he said, another man's, I forgot. He said another man's thing is another man's favor. A check. And then Seth was crashing out, saying, no, you don't deserve it, no, this is sacred to me, the main event of WrestleMania is sacred to me, and you guys don't deserve it, and he started crashing out. Anyway, he said, CM Punk said, thank you, guys, for chanting my name for 10 plus years, and then they showed the SmackDown saying, next Friday, Chicago, Illinois. And then, of course, Roman Reigns said, no, we aren't going to end this acknowledgement right now. He said, Roman Reigns, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. The guy who holds the Olafala, big dog. Roman didn't really like that. He said, thank you for getting me to WrestleMania in the main event. And thank you for making me a WrestleMania main event so I can beat you in it. And he said, by the way, that's not the favor I'm owed. That we still don't know what the favor is. He said that's not the favor I owe. We still don't know what that favor is. Bro, when we find that, I'm gonna take a prediction and say we don't find out the favor of what this thing is until WrestleMania 41, like until the match, or maybe before the match, or like during the match, or like close to the end of the match. I think that's where we find out. And then Roman Reigns was like, what do you mean that's not the favor, Paul? What do you mean by that? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what the favor is. Put down in the comments below. What do you think the favor is down in the comments below? Kind of interested to see your thoughts. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day. See you tomorrow. Bye.